Hey, everybody. I want to thank you again for investing in the Shareholders podcast. This is Monty Mott, and, man, I am excited for this show on today, you guys. I have an amazing woman on the phone with me. Her name is Tressa Smallwood, and she is – we're going to get into it. I don't even want to say everything she's doing yet, but I just want to first welcome her. How are you doing today, Miss Smallwood?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yes, and it is an honor for us to have you on the show, I should say. So I want to get right into it because your success story is unbelievable. And it's a lot of things that we talk about on the Shareholders podcast in terms of coming out of your comfort zone and trying new things and being bold and stepping out in faith, you know, and God's even blessed me in doing this show as a kind of a figure of that. But I want to go, as I was reading your bio, it was amazing because you are now very big in media in terms of books and in terms of film and so many other things. But you started out, you went to school, and you were trained and became a teacher in the public school system. Is that right?
Absolutely.
So you already have a successful career, if you will, and went to school for it and you trained for it. What made you want to first step out? And your first thing you did was you wrote a novel. What was the motivation to even do that?
So my story is so untraditional. I did not have a desire to actually write a book. I had a desire to become an entrepreneur. Everybody in my family, you know, came from an educational background, so I had aunts who were teachers, grandmother, and I kept telling them year after year, I am not going to be a teacher. My undergrad degree, right, I was defying everything that they said. My undergrad degree is in marketing, and so they kept saying, yes, you're going to go back and be a teacher, and, you know, after a while, I gave in. I knew that it was my love teaching people, and so I went back, got a master's to teach. During that time, I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter, Bailey, who is now 18. So that tells you how long ago that was, right?
Yeah.
The doctor put me on bed rest. I was 3 months pregnant and having all of these issues. So during that time when the doctor put me on bed rest, I had plans of starting my own business. I just didn't know what it was. I kept saying, this is my time. I got to sit in the bed. I had my little bell to ring so my husband could bring me some food. I was milking that, okay?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I had a family member who actually said, you should write a book. She said, you know, you're really good with writing. And I was like, I don't know. So, you know, I did it just because of the opportunity, and I was good at it. I literally, you know, when I got off bed rest, I sold, in my first 2 months, I sold 5,000 copies and made $40,000.
Wow.
Now, yes. Now, as a school teacher with a master's degree back then, I was only making $42,000. So you can imagine something kind of like lit a fire under me. And I said, you know what? I know I kept saying I wanted to start my own business. I have this entrepreneurial spirit, but I'm going to be an author. Like, I'm going to keep doing this. And so I never went back to work. And you know, I made it happen. My husband was not happy about the fact that I chose not to go back to work, but he was like, look, if you're going to really do this, then do it. And so I started publishing other authors. I wrote more books, and by 2005, I was making like $450K. So that story just was like, you know, so it's very non-traditional. And I always tell people, number one, don't listen to my story and go quit your job. You need a backup plan, okay? And then number two, I put in a lot of work, and I think that is that's the key to my success is that I work extremely hard. I'm very determined, never give up. And so, you know, I just always like to tell people, because you hear that story, and you're like, oh, yes. You know, and I get school teachers all across the country who are like, yes, I'm going to quit my job. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Wait.
Right. See, now I want to, so very quick, I want to hit something, because you said, you know, already you write your book and you have amazing success with the book. And for a lot of people, just doing that is like, man, an amazing accomplishment. But then you flip that into publishing.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people would just, and I'm not even, if you just write books, I'm not even hating on you, but to then take it to the next level, what what made you feel like, okay, not only can I write, but I can become a publisher? And if you can, for the audience, kind of break down what book publishing actually is and what that entails.
Absolutely. So when you're a book publisher, it means you are paying for the investment of your author. You pay for all of the services. You're paying to get the book cover done. You're paying to get the editing done. And so people have this concept twisted out here in society now because everybody's like being a fake book publisher online, saying that they're a book publisher. But if you are not putting up the funds and paying for it, you are not what we call a traditional book publisher. Because there's so many companies out there that say, "Hey, I'll help you, and you pay me, and I'm gonna get your book done," and then they'll say, "I'm your book publisher." No, you're actually not. You were a book you were a book consultant, a service provider to help someone get their book done if they paid you. And so I started investing in people. And, one of my authors that I invested in early on, his name is Jay Trimble. He wrote a book called Secrets of a Housewife. And that investment has paid off tremendously because that book has been a bestseller for years and years. And then I ended up turning into a movie in 2016 called Secrets. So, people think that when you put out a book, it's just you're publishing a book, but you're not. It's going to be a lot of things, from ebooks to audio books to print books to movies to stage plays. So this is really, really huge. When you're an author, you can do two things. You can sign under someone else's book publishing company and let them pay for all of the services, and you take the lesser percentage of the business, the profits, which is typically industry standard is about anywhere between 8 to 12%. Or you can publish yourself, self-publish. That's what I typically teach people to do. I'm an advocate for self-publishers because that's how I got my start. I paid for all of my own services, and I kept 100% of the profits. Okay. So even though I'm a book publisher and I do publish people, I'm more of an advocate for self-publishing because that's what's landed, helped me to get where I am today.
Wow, that is amazing. And I see there's some things I didn't even know on that, but then you started your life-changing books company, and I want to know, what was it like to actually have a book, one of your books, on the New York Times bestsellers list? Like, when you get that news, what does that feel like?
Oh man, that was incredible. And this was for a book that I published. It wasn't I didn't write this one. It was called Game Over. Winter Ramos wrote it. But we worked so hard on getting her book to the point where the publicity was just out the roof. Typically, if you think about authors, 7 out of 10 authors fail, but they fail because of lack of marketing. So because I know that, because I teach people how to publish books, become successful, and hit bestsellers lists, I knew exactly what to do. And so we poured a lot of time, money, advertising, everything you can think of into this particular project, and it paid off because they called me, and when I got the call, it was I didn't even expect it. They said, "Hey, we're calling about your book, such and such and such. Are you the book publisher?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they said, "Well, you just made the New York Times bestsellers list."
Wow.
So I think I screamed a little bit, had to get some water, got choked up. I was like, "Whoa."
That is. You wait a minute, Winter Rain. I know that name.
Yes, from name. Love and Hip Hop.
Oh my goodness. That is right.
Yep.
And I remember she was saying she was writing a book. Wow. That's unbelievable. Wow. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
That is outstanding. So again, people, you're listening to this right now and you're saying, man, she has made it. Just lay back, go to the Bahamas and just have a good time on vacation with the family. But no. Now she takes that, and you're already doing well. You are very successful in the book world, but then you transition that into film, and you already kind of hit on that with one of the books that you transitioned and eventually became a film called Secrets. What made you want to step into, because we love to talk about getting out of comfort zones, you had established something really great with your books and your writing and this, but now you want to get into the film world, which is, oh man, it's sharks in those waters for sure. But what made you want to take it to the next level?
Yeah, I have a true entrepreneurial spirit. And I think for me, I am always thinking about what's my next level, right? And so even though I had this successful book publishing company, I had a successful consultation company, I'm helping all these other people reach success in the book world, I knew there was still something else for me. And so my next level was, okay, I'm going to now turn books into movies. I have 164 titles under my publishing house that I have the rights to, which means that I can go and do TV series with those. I can go do movies. And so because of that, you know, I'm like a gem for Hollywood, right? Anybody looking for people who own content, they're like, oh, who's this lady? And so I had a choice. Again, I took the same approach that I took with publishing. I could either go and put my movies under somebody else, or I could learn to do them myself. I chose to do it myself. Now, obviously, that's a much more difficult task because when you're talking about producing a movie, you're talking about at least $200,000 even just to have a decent movie. And so all of my movies right now are at the price point of roughly $500,000 to $700,000.
Oh, wow,
and so having to fund that myself meant I had to go back to work to figure out what to do, how to make it happen, how to get the best talent, how to get the best producers, directors, et cetera. So a lot of work. Took me about 2 years to figure it all out. Because, you know, I come from a educational background. Knowledge is key. If you don't learn anything else from this podcast, understand that anything you do, you need to learn from other people who've done it successfully. Yes. Not the people who are just talking about it, people who've done it successfully. So for me, if I knew that I was going to shoot a movie, I found directors who had already shot a movie, not directors who said, I can direct. I found people, you know, I went to get real actors and actresses that you see in movies. And so that's the biggie. People like to take shortcuts now. And so for me, I wasn't willing to do that. And I was like, I'm gonna take my book catalog and turn all those books into movies. And to date, I've turned 3 of them into movies so far. One movie that I have recently produced was not from a book to film adaptation, but a large majority of what I do will be book to film. I'm stepping into a little bit of docuseries and some TV series as well.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's TV seems to really be kind of, with Netflix and all those things, it's becoming a very big outlet. So, man, you just said some amazing things in that I kind of want to highlight as well. So I know sometimes people just, you know, the layperson might not even understand what a producer does. They kind of know the director, the cut, and, you know, the actors and all of that. But a producer is a very wide-ranging job in terms of,
absolutely.
You know, and you kind of already hit on it a little bit, but, you know, if you could break down, maybe there's an executive producer, but then there's also just a producer. And then you see, like, why do I see 5 names as producers and all, you know, stuff like that.
Yep, so I'll try to give you the most simplistic version, but I'll also say we're having a film summit that I'm hosting for this reason that you're saying right now. People don't get it, and so the only way to learn is to come and get knowledge from people. And so I'm having that film summit in the D.C. area March 7th and 8th, and I'm sure you'll give them my Instagram info later where they can kind of call and find out about it. But essentially the easiest way to explain is an executive producer can be someone who actually is the initiator of a project. It could be someone who green lights a project. It could be someone who just puts money up for a project. Maybe you're using their name for name recognition. Like if you were shooting a movie and you needed Denzel's backing, maybe he comes on as the executive producer, right? Doesn't mean he has to act in the movie. A producer is going to do most of the work. Producers are the people who are on the ground. They are actually making things happen. They're calling the shots. They're the ones in charge, sending you the emails. One of my roles as a producer is to always find the money to hire the initial crew. So I generally will hire my director and my associate producers and any other producers that I want on the team. After that, I let those people go and hire who they want to fill the rest of the roster. We typically have about maybe 80 to 100 people working for us on each set. And we basically go and get the best of the best. So, like, if you look at my movies and you look at wardrobe, you look at hairstyle, well, we've gotten the best of the best. Yep. So that's kind of the easiest way to break it down.
Right, yeah. It's a lot. And
yeah.
What I love that you said just now is that you hire people, but then allow those people to hire other people because you're hiring the best, so you expect them to bring in the best, and it helps the, because there's so much that you have to do, and there's some delegation that has to go on as well in terms of, whenever I look at movie credits, I'm just like, my goodness, look at all these people that worked on this project, lighting people and, sound and all this, and it's all encompassing. But so you started Megamind Media, and just so much success that you've had, and you've already spoken on your entrepreneurial spirit. And I was literally going to go into that next part. Is now you're doing a film summit, if you will. And I had a gentleman on a couple weeks ago, and he was doing kind of the same thing, but he was doing his in the Midwest region in Indianapolis, and you're doing yours in the DMV, which is, if you don't know, Maryland, DC, Virginia, East Coast. And I really appreciate that, because even though I'm in Las Vegas, but a lot of people just feel like, man, you gotta want to learn something about movies, you gotta go to LA, or you gotta go to Hollywood. But what made you want to keep it East Coast in the DMV, not even New York, but even in just the DMV area? What inspired you want to do it there?
Yeah, I think the reality is I've met so many people who tell me, oh, you're from D.C.? You shoot movies in D.C.? Because I travel everywhere for knowledge. I don't care if somebody says there's a conference in Chicago and I know I need the knowledge, I'm on the plane. I make it happen. And so when I travel to all these places, people always say, you're making movies in D.C.? Like, how do you do that? And then there are people who live in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area who feel like there's no knowledge. They feel like they can't make it here. And, I've shot some incredible movies that, are actually seen on real networks, So... I felt like I wanted to encourage people, one, to give them the knowledge, and to also let them mix and mingle. I want them to come in the room and hear from Clifton Powell, but also get to talk to him. So if you're going to shoot a movie, you're able to talk to him. Come and meet somebody from TV One or BET. People don't get those opportunities, and because I have those relationships, I wanted to make that happen.
That is outstanding, and I know people really, like you said, there's this thing now where, I can just watch YouTube and figure it out. But no, you really need to get out there and learn and glean. I hear so many successful people say, don't be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Be around people where you can learn. But man, this has been an outstanding interview. I could talk to you all day, but y'all can understand this is a busy woman here, so I got to get her out of here. I just want to finish up so much information you've given us. So what really, and for a person like you, this question can go anywhere, but what is your vision of success for the years to come, where 5 years from now, I hate to say a 5-year plan, but what is the next level for you in terms of your career and your entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. So one, I want to have a studio where I can have a section of that studio, which is more like workstation creative opportunities for people to just come and be around other creatives. And then the other part to that studio is I need to film, because one of my goals is that I will have 3 TV series within the next 5 years, and that I will shoot at least 6 more of the movies that I have set out to shoot. Wow.
Well, listen, I'm sure ain't nobody going to tell you can't, because you're already doing some amazing things.
Right.
Have you read any good books, any books you can recommend to our listeners?
Oh, yeah. I read so much. Obviously coming from educational world, I just fill myself with knowledge all the time. Lately, I would say, and this is so off of entrepreneur. Let me give you an entrepreneurship book that everybody should read. The Automatic Millionaire. Everybody should read that.
Oh, okay.
that is about your money. Get your money right, okay? But I read that book so long ago. But lately, I read a book that's called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. And at first, I was like, what? Like, this is for people like, and I was like, no, this is so good because it's really teaching us that we all need somebody to talk to, right?
Yes.
People think of the word therapy and run and think something's wrong with you, but the reality is it's just processing your thoughts. And it doesn't have to be with a therapist because, you know, you depressed or any of that. It is just literally who do you talk to. Each of us should have someone who's our go-to that we talk to. And the reason why I love the book is because I'm big on mentorship. I mentor a lot of different people, but I am also mentored by people, right? I have 2 mentors that are major, and it's like sometimes you just need to talk, and it's like, hey, am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? So that's a book that I think you should get. It's Lori Gottlieb, Gottlieb. So that's a good one.
Wow, thank you. And I was running out of time, but every person on here talks about mentorship, and just the fact that you just hit that now is perfect. So we're talking with Tressa Smallwood, and she has just given us a wealth of information in a small amount of time. Matter of fact, just give your plugs, especially for your upcoming film summit. Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, well, 2 things. I think if anybody needs help with publishing books or starting to produce movies or just entrepreneurship in general, I teach a lot of free classes. If you go to Tressa Azarel, that's TRESSA, Azarel is AZAREL.com, TressaAzarel.com. You can enter your email, and it'll send you the time that I'm having my next free class. Okay, so you can just hop on and just ask me questions. The DMV Film Summit, the easiest way is to go to my Instagram, which is at CEO Azarel. That's AZAREL. All of the speakers' info is there, and then you can go to the website too, DMVFilmSummit.com, DMVFilmSummit.com. So that's it.
Wow. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the Shareholders podcast. And please, people, support this. This is not just an up-and-comer. She's already established. So she's got projects you can read, you can watch. Support people like this because, I mean, man, she is doing amazing things. And I hope that young people can see this. But remember what she said. She said it's hard work, though, too. Don't just have dreams and don't want to put no work behind it, too. So
absolutely.
Remember that as well. Thank you so much for coming on the Shareholders podcast. Have a blessed day, and I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.